I'm doing my presentation on the largest disease carrier in the United States, and that is ticks. It's the second largest in the world, only to mosquitoes. There are more than 25 species of ticks in Arizona alone, so I wanted to focus more in on one so I could go more in depth, and I chose the brown dog tick because it's the most common in Arizona. The brown dog tick is a form of Ioxidae, which is just a hard tick. There's two kinds of ticks. There's a hard tick and a soft tick. And hard ticks are more common and generally less dangerous. Their life cycle has different stages, and they're known as three-host ticks because they can go from three hosts. Originally, when they hatch from the eggs, they have 6 legs, and they attach to a small animal and feed for about 4 days. Then they drop off the host and molt and become 8-legged nymphs, and then they find a new small animal, a mammal, but a little bit larger this time, like a raccoon. And once again, they attach on, and then they drop off, and then they go to their third and final host, which is a larger animal like a dog or a person. And they feed for about 4 days, and then they drop off when they're done, and the female lays up to 4,000 eggs. It's been shown that males don't tend to feed, but they do latch onto the host along with the female and mate with the male while the female is feeding. So next, I am going to discuss the risk factors, and one of the biggest ones is just having pets, because especially outdoor pets, because they walk around, and they have more of a tendency to encounter ticks and catch them and then come home and spread them throughout your house, or living in an area with lots of weeds and shrubs, because that's being that ticks aren't jumping animals or flying animals, the way they get around is crawling, and they like to, kind of like bed bugs or kind of like hitchhikers, they like to sit on the top of leaves, and when you walk by, just right under your skin. Living near mountains or forests is a big risk factor, because it's the same thing with the shrubbery and the environment, or living in an area with high prevalence of ticks, obviously, because there's more of them for it to occur. And like I said earlier, I just wanted to mention that there are 25 species of ticks in Arizona, and the brown dog tick is the most common. So now to cover local and global prevalence and incidence. In Arizona, it's far more prevalent in the northernmost areas, so in like Flagstaff, because of the environment and terrain. Nationally, they're more prevalent in places with a lot of plains and high grasses, and in North Carolina and Idaho. The prevalence is in children who are under the age of 10, just because of the immune systems, and because, sorry, I almost started talking about the disease, but no, it's more prevalent in children among 10 because they tend to spend more time outdoors, and they're less protected when they're outside. Globally, it's all over the world, but they're especially in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Panama, so in South America. Now I wanted to talk about prevention, which is there's some pretty easy ways to prevent getting ticks, like keeping your grass and weeds short when you have like a suspected tick-infested area, and especially during hot weather, because tick infestation have huge increases from April to September. I have a graph and I'll show it to you later, but it goes from like steady, and then when you hit April, it's just like straight up, because they tend to come out during the hot weather. So you can check yourself after you walk through woods or tall grasses. Just spend time around wild animals. Just look over yourself. Wearing light clothing is a good management technique, because you can spot the ticks really easily. For prevention, again, for children, you can tuck your pant legs into your socks, and then your ticks can't crawl up the legs, and this tends to work for adults as well. If you really want to go the chemical way, you can spray children with DEET, and you can spray or adults with DEET on skin or clothing, and that should prevent them from latching on. So management, to discuss more about management, I already said wearing light clothing, but you can also spray insecticides on your shrubbery or grass or around your household, and that should lower the amount of ticks, or if you have an infestation. Or to do weekly tick checks and pull them off your body and off the animal and killing them by crushing them between your fingernails or burning them. Treatment: if you're not infected with a disease and you just got bit by a tick, it's easy because you're not infected with the disease. You can just pull them off and kill them and try to completely eradicate from their house, and you don't have to follow up after they're gone. But sometimes a tick bite isn't just a tick bite, and this is when I wanted to move on to how they can cause disease, and I chose Rocky Mountain spotted fever because it can be spread by the brown dog tick and the wood tick and American dog tick. And there have been up to 12 cases a year in Arizona alone. And I know that's not very much, but we can still lower the number to 0. And it's the most common tick-borne disease in Arizona. So even though 12 is not a lot, it's still the most common in Arizona. So it's caused by when you're bitten by an infected tick, like the 3 that I mentioned, and it's the toxins and secretions or organisms in the tick's saliva that's transmitted through the bite. That is what causes disease. It's not the bite itself or the sucking of the blood. The pathogen that causes it is called R. rickettsii, rickettsii, and there's easy treatment and management if you find it soon. You can just hit it up with antibiotics. Doxycycline has seemed to work, and if the person is infected is pregnant, they prescribe chloramphenicol, and that reduces the chance of tooth and bone malformations in the fetus, because those happen if you don't have the proper antibiotics. They're given for 5 to 10 days, and it should clear up, but if it's really severe and not treated right away, it can they tend to go to the intense care unit where they need things like ventilation, blood pressure support. So another thing is prevention. It's basically the same prevention as ticks, because if you don't get a tick bite, you're not going to get Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So wearing light clothing so that you can spot ticks, cutting your shrubbery, insecticide, all of those things. The tests that are used to find Rocky Mountain spotted fever are kidney function tests to see if your kidney is functioning properly, a platelet count, a red blood cell count, skin biopsy taken from the rash to check for R. rickettsii, and a urinalysis to check for blood in the urine or protein in the urine. I chose to do this because I found ticks in my dog's ear, and my dog is hairless. So it was kind of shocking, especially since my mom didn't think that hairless dogs got ticks because they like to hide in the hair and be really incognito. Well, they were in his ears, and it was super gross when I found them, and one was on my arm. And what I did is I wanted to make my mom more aware of how we could prevent it in our household, because that would really change my life and hopefully hers, because she's the one who's living with the dog when I leave. And so first I had to get the tick off the dog so that I could prove to her that it had ticks. So I have a picture of that, and I'll put it at the end of this. I'll put all of my pictures at the end. There's going to be first a picture of the tick, then a picture of the tick I found on my dog. You can barely see it's a spot in a sock. And then there's going to be a picture of my dog. And then there'll be a picture of the incidence spike or the prevalence spike in the month of April through September. And then I'm going to have a picture of the incidence nationally up until the year 2002. So now you know what order those are in. And my mom bought Frontline for my dog, and she went and took it a step beyond, because now she's kind of freaked out about ticks. I told her about all the diseases, and she went and found the place where we actually, our dog actually got the ticks, which was her friend Nadine's house, and told Nadine and searched her house, and yeah, hopefully it's made a difference. So also, I wanted to make sure that the questioning and answering portion was still a part of this, so I made a form on my website, Tesla Therian. If you go to student web pages, Tesla Therian, it's public, so everyone should be able to find it. And then it's the last thing, and it says ticks, and if you have any questions, just ask away, and I will be sure to answer, and I'll fit the pictures up right now. That's it. Hey, I also threw a picture of the life cycle in there. That was the last picture. Just wanted to clarify.